welcome. Thank you. So we will focus on energy across cities. We've discussed about waste building, but energy is really a very important topic. Energy in building, in house, is the most important consumer, is building, is smart cities. We've said that earlier in the introduction. To start, maybe I would like to understand what are you doing in Helsinki about this carbon neutrality and energy efficiency?
Yes. So Helsinki has a target to be a carbon neutral by 2035, so within 15 years. And Finland is up north, and we have a very cold winter, and we need a lot of heating. And actually 56% of the emissions of Helsinki, they are coming from the heating. So of course, the energy is a very key part of that equation. And we are using a district heating at the moment to heat our houses. Almost all the buildings in Helsinki, they are connected to the district heating. And at the moment, we are using a coal and natural gas to generate the district heating. And of course, we have to get rid of those. That's the big part. It's, from our whole target to be a carbon neutral, it's about 1/3 to get rid of those. And actually, we don't have a solutions yet. We don't know how to do it because we don't want to go to the biomass. In many cities in Finland, they use a biomass to replace the coal, but the biomass itself is not a very good solution either. There are very problematic things related to it. And so at the moment we are having a competition, energy challenge. We ask people to help us, and we are offering €1 million a prize for the person or the university or the group who is able to give us a master plan how we are able to decarbonize the district heating part. But of course the other part of the equation are the buildings, so we really have to increase energy efficiency of the building. And actually, we have counted that about 1/3 of the heat consumption needs to go away. We have to get rid of that, and of course, the energy efficiency in that equation plays a big part. And we have a very big plans what we are going to do and what we are doing already on the buildings to increase energy efficiency.
And mobility, do you also tackle the topics of mobility in your plan?
Yeah, we have a very comprehensive plan. We have 147 different things what we are going to do next. But traffic is about 24% of the emissions. And the heating is difficult mainly because of the technical reasons. But the transport and the traffic is difficult, but it's difficult from the different reasons because the traffic and the cars, they are so, into the identity of the person and people, and it's very difficult to change. But we are also doing a lot. Actually, we are one of the world leaders on the, how much people are biking, walking, and using a public transport. So 80% of the trips made inside Helsinki, they are made by a public transport, walking or biking. So we have invested a lot on that part. But of course, it's not enough. We also have to tackle the private cars and the reduce driving. It's without it, 80% and 15 years. It's so, very, very difficult and ambitious, so we have to do everything we can. So we cannot do that. We do something here, and then we just, ignore rest. It's not going to work that way. So we have to, to tackle every single sector and, very, high-level actions on every of those.
Maybe, Thomas, you want to react and explain how your association and how Heat Pump can contribute to this kind of ambition?
Yes, Florent, thank you very much. I represent the European Heat Pump Industry Association, and we claim that we have solutions to make heating and cooling completely carbon-free. The technology is actually not even very innovative, so I feel very humble to be here because we have something that was in effect before this building was built. The heat pumps were identified as a concept in 1824 by a French engineer, Sidi Kano, and then it continued, as you could say, as a European project via the United Kingdom. Lord Kelvin conceptualized it further, and then an Austrian built the first heat pump. And today you can say, and you can see it here, heat pumps are everywhere. It's a technology that all of you use, only most of you don't use it for heating. At least not completely, because even a refrigerator that 97% of all households have is providing waste heat, and it could in principle be used for heating. So I could advise the Finnish population to buy bigger refrigerators, and then you can use the waste heat from the cooling process to heat your houses. The joke aside, it would really work if the house is well enough insulated. But what the heat pump technology today can do, and maybe we can see the next slide, it is suitable to be employed in residential and commercial heating. So it could even heat this Grand Palais if it's properly dimensioned and designed. It can operate in industrial processes. And what you haven't said, Kaisa, I have to say, Helsinki is also operating the single biggest installation of heat pumps that are providing district heating with energy. And that is something I need to state quite blatantly. Often we talk about district heating, but if we go one step further and ask ourselves, where is the energy coming from that is fueling the district heating and also district cooling, then it is a heat pump. Here in Paris, you can walk around, you walk on these systems. There is a district heating and a district cooling system in Paris that is efficiently operating for years. The Centre Pompidou has on the roof the big white pipes, if you see them, has an air conditioning, heating and dehumidification system which is based on the same principle. So we can say the technology is available. We can heat and cool without any emissions. It is not necessary to endure air pollution from heating houses. That's my boldest statement that I can make.
That's very encouraging, because I heard Bertrand Piccard yesterday saying that we have 1,000 solutions, and the only question is how do we deploy them, scale up, and you're heading to that we already have old solution that we could scale and up. So that's very encouraging. Maybe one question is about, but what is preventing us from doing it? What is the challenge that you are facing? Because solution exists today.
Yeah, on energy efficiency side, I think that it's the decision making of the people, because at least in Finland, most of the buildings, they are owned by the private people. And even if we have a solution to increase energy efficiency by renovating the houses, and even if there is an economical sense to do it, somehow, those renovations are not done. So there is that kind of, a bottleneck we haven't been able to solve totally yet. So for example, the city made the decision that we own about 20% of the buildings inside the city borders, and we decided that okay, all the new buildings we build, they have to be very energy efficiency. Every time we renovate, we are going to make a very deep energy renovation at the same time, and it was an easy decision because it was that kind of one city council who made the decision. But on the private people, it's much more difficult. And there are feelings, and there are that kind of many different kind of things preventing, and that's why we decided that we are going to start that kind of program, that we put the engineers on the field to really help people to make the decisions and start the energy renovations, because it's not about the money, because actually it's a bad housekeeping if you don't do those renovations, because you are saving money. You should do them, even if there is no climate change.
So it's.
Yeah, it is, and it's a little bit frustrating for me. You are probably able to see it, to speak about it, because it's like oh, this is so low-hanging fruit, and we are not even able to somehow do it, and so it's
But we saw that in project that we run, in Smart Cities project that we run, and it's very true what you say. Energy efficiency provides savings, actually, which can help put money in other stuff around making the city sustainable. One of the challenges is also having the upfront, the ability to do the upfront investment, which cities can do, individuals. There is probably some new mechanism to put.
But I don't think it's not even that, and because there are companies who are making that kind of energy service agreement, so you are paying back a little by little. So when you are really gaining money from the savings, then you are paying back the investment. So you don't need to have the money up front.
And so it's behavior.
So yeah, if somebody knows what it is, I really would like to
Thomas,
hear your solutions and your answers.
I would have a bit of an idea. I mean, we look at market data also, and I can tell you today that Kaisa comes from Finland, and Finland is one of the countries that has the biggest market penetration for heat pump technology in all Europe, together with Sweden and Norway. They sell per 1,000 households the most units. So for you, the trend is already very strong and very continuous. In other countries, it's not like that. And in other countries, we really have to say there is 1, 2, 3 things that need to be done. First and foremost, we need transparency on the true cost of energy. In many countries, it's not even so clear. And quite often, it is still much cheaper to operate a fossil boiler than a renewable energy system. Not even talking about the heat pump. It's just a principal truth that oil and gas heating systems are cheaper than the alternatives that do not emit CO2. And I find that honestly a scandal in the 21st century, that governments cannot change that, as they say. So I think we need to change the price burden on CO2 emitting substances. There needs to be, in our opinion, a CO2 price indicated that is meaningful and that makes a change in your calculation of your heating costs. But that's only one, as Kaisa says, because even if you save money, sometimes it's quite complicated. So how does it get cheaper? If we could offer packages, and then banks could play a role to offer a package where certified products, accredited products are put into packages that can include an inverter, a photovoltaic system, maybe a charging station. So you basically create a package for an end user to say, we will make your house better and we will make your life more comfortable. That's what I took from Pekka before, the mayor of Lahti, that said, in the end, it's not the mayor that takes these decisions, it's the citizens. And the citizens will take the decisions. You, all of you, can ask yourself, how do I heat my house? And can I change something about that? And then you may encounter that this is quite an effort. It becomes a project. And then you may say, oh, I'd rather go on holidays to Côte d'Azur this summer. This is what we are confronted with, the complication of action.
But what you are raising, it's lack of information to people and citizens, or complex information, but also new mechanism, carbon pricing. So that's a whole range of topics that have to be addressed at the city level, but also at the state level. How do you see that happening? How are you optimistic on that? Or because when we talk about cities, actually I'm quite optimistic, because I believe cities have the ability to move faster than the states, but at some point you still need the states or the European Union or whatever to also help the organization like yours and social entrepreneurs to make it easy for people.
If Helsinki manages this challenge of going carbon-free by 2035, they announced it already now. That's a very important point. You have to announce it early because this change is so slow. But if Helsinki manages in the process, there will be role model and experience to be shared with other cities. I think we need to make sure that this is possible. I can say for the heat pumps, we have 13 million heat pumps in Europe. That is not 13 million people that are suffering. There are 13 million people that typically are very happy because they have solved their heating question once and for all, and they are feeling good with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, what we have done, we have cut already 30% of our total emissions. And per person, it's more than that. It's 45% per person. So, and the life is not getting worse. Actually, it's getting much better. So we have already demonstrated to our residents that we are able to do it. It's doable, and it's not going to be very miserable life, when we are going to do it. But I want to come back a little bit about the how we are communicating about this energy efficiency thing, because I think that it's a little bit the fault of all of us and the environmental NGOs and media, because when we are speaking about what the people can do, we are always speaking about the avoiding plastic bags or using refillable bottles. But actually, what we started this week in Helsinki, we started a campaign that we are saying, we have on the metro and on the trams that kind of advertisements saying that do the biggest environmental action for this year. And it is the energy renovation. Yeah. It's much bigger than the plastic bags or on everything else. So we also have to communicate the big things as a big things, and the small things as a small thing. But at the moment we are speaking a lot about those things which they really have a very, very, very small effect.
In fact,
yeah, and that's, I think it's also important.
I think we on top of this, addressing the big things first, we heard that CO2 emissions from heating is 56% in Helsinki, so it's not as big in the rest of Europe, but it's still more than a quarter for sure, maybe 30%, and the energy demand is about 50%. So CO2 emissions is lower than the energy demand. But we need policymakers that have the guts to say, fossil energy in heating has no future. So the next time your boiler breaks down, don't let the installer tell you that the simple replacement with another fossil boiler is solving your problem. There should be also a demand from the population based on trust in political goals to say we cannot have fossil heating anymore. Full stop.
How do you engage with the citizens? I mean, as you say, there's a lot of stuff that organizations can do, cities can do, but it has to be also at the citizen level. How do you engage with citizens in this journey in Helsinki, for instance?
At the moment, we are very much focusing on the energy renovation of the private buildings, because we already made the decision for the city-owned buildings, so it's basically covered. But now we are starting an energy renaissance campaign, and it's basically we are targeting apartment buildings which are facing a renovation in very few years, and we are really contacting those people and talking straight to them and give help to them. We are also encouraging people who are living in the buildings go to the meetings and requesting energy renovation, and so we are really having that kind of, we don't communicate so much for everybody, but we are communicating on the targeted groups, and then we have a really specific ask for those people. And we need you, and at the moment we need you to do this thing, and it's going to have a very big impact, and that's our tactic. And it's a little bit, it took for us quite a long time to change it, because we have so much used to make a campaign on the plastic bags and things like that.
One sentence. Yes, our target group is experts, so we provide information on possible solutions. We are currently preparing a booklet that says heat pumps work in renovation. And if you have a challenge where it doesn't work, come to us, because I'm sure that if enough demand exists for very specific solutions, we will also find technical solutions to decarbonize that specific building or process.
Thank you. Thanks to the both of you.